So where we're at now is we've gone to the web page that we're starting at, and we've got all the links off the page. We've treated them properly so we can all follow them no matter what weird kind of link that we're presented with. So now that we have all of these links, we need to add them to an array of links that need to be crawled. So we're going to come up to the top and we're going to create an array called already crawled, and it's going to be equal to an array. To see this in the function, we need to create a global variable. And now we'll have access to already crawled in our function. And down here at the bottom, we're going to print out already crawled so that we can see the links in the array. So what we're going to do now is insert the links into the array. So to make sure we don't get duplicate links, we're going to use the inArray function in PHP, which just basically returns true or false if an item is found in an array that we supply it. So we'll say if inArray, the item we're going to check is the link itself, which is L, and the array we're going to check is called already crawled. But what we want to do is we don't want to check if it is in that array, we want to check if it's not. Because if it's not in the array, then we can add it. If it is in the array, then we're just going to forget about it and not put it in. So I'm just going to move this echo above here into this if statement. And what we're going to do is we're going to say if it's not in the already crawled array, we're going to say already crawled, and we're going to insert a new item. And in PHP we do that by adding two square brackets, and we just say is equal to L. So we're just saying that the value of L is equal to a blank item in that array. So if we just run this again, we shouldn't see any difference. Okay, yeah, we do see a difference. The reason is we see the echo, the original echo, but we also see the array that we're printing out at the bottom, which is our already crawled array, which has 8 links in it. Actually, it's 9 links because it starts from 0. So everything's in the array, and now we actually need to crawl the links that are in the array. So each time a link's added to the array, we're going to run another function called getDetails. We're going to pass a getDetails L, and we're going to echo that out instead of L. So this way we can echo out the title of the link or the description of the keyword or something like that instead. So up here what we need to do is we need to create another function called getDetails, and we're going to call it URL. So before we go any further with that, what we're going to do is we're actually going to just comment that out and comment this back in. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the user agent of our bot. Because if you remember in the first part, I talked about how Google has their own user agent so that whenever they visit your website, your logs will tell you that it's Google visited it and it wasn't an actual person. And we're going to do that as well for our bot. So we have a file get contents function up here. So we need to change the user agent that we use to access files on it. To change our user agent, what we need to do is mess about with the headers that get sent with each request in the file get contents function. So just ignore this sort of bit. It's not too much about bots. It just allows us to change our user agent, so it's not that important for the actual series, but it's just something that might be useful to know. So the file get contents function usually takes 1 parameter, but we're going to give it 3. We're going to give it false as the first one. Just ignore that one. But the next one is important. It is called a context, and we're going to call that context. And we're going to come up here and we're going to create the context. We're going to say context is equal to stream context create, which is just a weird function that we use in PHP to mess about with the headers for the file get contents function. And we pass it another variable called options, or we can just pass it the array of the options we want to mess about with, but it's easier just to create them in separate variables. So here we create our options, and this is an array. And these are the headers that we want to mess about with. These are the custom headers we want to send. So when we're creating a context, the first thing we say is HTTP, because that's the protocol we want to use. Then what we do is we create another array, and within that array we create an item called method, and we call that method get. Whoops, we'll use double quotes because apparently sometimes it doesn't like using single quotes in there. Then what we're going to say is we're going to actually create our custom headers. And I probably should have explained this earlier. The user agent is passed in the header of the file. So this is how we can actually see the headers that are sent, and this might make more sense because headers is just terminology that might be confusing. So what you can do is you can right click on any web page, you can click inspect, and you can go to network. The first time you do it, obviously it'll say recording network activity and you won't actually see anything, so what you have to do is refresh your page, and here is the page I just loaded. If I click on this, you can see the first thing we can see is headers. The response headers are what are the headers that the server sent back to us, and the request headers are the headers that were sent whenever we made the request to download the page, and these are the headers we can mess about with to change our user agent. If I scroll down, you can actually see this is the user agent that Google Chrome sent to the web server when it requested the page. So that's what we're changing now. So if we go back here, we can just create another item called headers, and here we can pass in our custom headers. And the header we want to pass in is called user agent. As you can see here in Chrome, user agent with a colon, then a space. And we want to call our user agent howbot. We could give it a version number or something like that. So we could say 0.1. And then we just want to give it a new line. So if we run this again, you can see we get exactly the same thing again. Okay, so that's our user agent changed, and now we are ready to move on to the next part. So we're going to do that in the next video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.